There is a kind of beauty the world chases, one that fades with time, one that depends on mirrors, approval, and comparison. But there is another kind of beauty, quiet, powerful, and unshakable. It does not beg to be seen, yet it is always felt. It does not compete, yet it always stands out. A woman becomes truly beautiful, not when she perfects her appearance, but when she refines her being. The first habit is learning to sit with yourself in silence. In a noisy world, those who cultivate inner stillness begin to glow differently. When your mind is calm, your eyes soften, your words carry weight, and your presence becomes healing. Beauty begins where chaos ends. The second habit is mastering your thoughts. What you repeatedly think becomes the atmosphere you carry. A woman who disciplines her mind does not allow negativity to take root. She chooses clarity over confusion, faith over fear. And in doing so, her face reflects peace instead of tension. The third habit is speaking with intention. Words are not just sounds, they are energy. A truly beautiful woman speaks less, but says more. Her words uplift, not wound. They carry truth, not noise. When she speaks, people feel understood, not diminished. The fourth habit is practicing quiet kindness, not for recognition, not for applause, but because it is her nature. She gives without keeping score. She listens without rushing to respond. Kindness shapes her aura, and people feel safe in her presence. The fifth habit is embracing simplicity. There is elegance in not trying too hard. In a world obsessed with excess, simplicity becomes rare and therefore powerful. She does not need to prove her worth through appearance or possessions. Her confidence is quiet, but undeniable. The sixth habit is committing to growth. She understands that beauty is not a fixed state, it is a continuous becoming. She reflects, she learns, she evolves. Every mistake becomes a lesson, every setback a refinement. This dedication to growth gives her a timeless radiance. And the seventh habit is living with purpose. When a woman knows why she exists, she walks differently. She is no longer shaken by opinions or trends. Her life becomes aligned, and that alignment creates a magnetic presence. Purpose is the foundation of her beauty. Understand this deeply. What you cultivate within will inevitably be seen without. Make your mind a place of peace. Make your heart a place of compassion. Make your life a reflection of purpose. And then, without effort, without noise, without seeking validation, you will become the kind of beautiful that never fades. In a world filled with constant noise, distraction, and endless demands for attention, the ability to sit quietly with yourself has become rare and, therefore, deeply powerful. Many people spend their lives running from silence because silence reveals what distraction tries to hide. But a woman who learns to be still, who becomes comfortable in her own presence without the need for external stimulation, begins to develop a depth that cannot be imitated. Inner peace is not something you find outside, it is something you cultivate within. It begins when you stop seeking validation from the world and start observing your own thoughts without judgment. When you sit in silence, you start to notice the patterns of your mind, the worries, the doubts, the fears, and even the desires that constantly pull you in different directions. Most people are controlled by these thoughts without even realizing it. But the moment you become aware, you take the first step toward mastery. A calm mind creates a different kind of presence. When there is no inner turbulence, your reactions become measured, your emotions become balanced, and your decisions become clear. You are no longer easily shaken by opinions, criticism, or temporary circumstances. This stability reflects outwardly. Your expressions soften, your posture relaxes, and there is a quiet confidence in the way you carry yourself. People may not always understand why they feel drawn to you, but they will sense the peace you embody. Silence also allows you to reconnect with your true self. Without the influence of social expectations or comparisons, you begin to understand who you are beyond roles and labels. You discover what truly matters to you, what aligns with your values, and what brings you genuine fulfillment. This clarity becomes the foundation of authentic beauty, because there is nothing more powerful than someone who knows themselves and lives in alignment with that truth. When you practice stillness regularly, you also develop emotional resilience. Life will always bring challenges, but a peaceful mind does not react impulsively. Instead of being overwhelmed, you learn to pause, reflect, and respond with wisdom. This ability to remain centered, even in difficult moments, creates a strength that is both graceful and unbreakable. It is not loud or aggressive, yet it commands respect. There is also a subtle transformation that happens in your energy. When your mind is constantly busy, your presence feels scattered. But when you are grounded in stillness, your energy becomes focused and calm. Others feel this immediately. They feel heard when you listen, valued when you speak, and comforted when they are around you. This is the kind of beauty that cannot be enhanced by appearance alone. It comes from the way you make others feel. However, cultivating inner peace requires discipline. It means choosing to step away from unnecessary noise, limiting what disturbs your mind, and creating moments of quiet reflection each day. It may feel uncomfortable at first, because you are no longer escaping yourself. But with time, that discomfort turns into clarity, and that clarity turns into strength. When you master stillness, you no longer chase peace, you become it. And when peace becomes your nature, beauty is no longer something you try to achieve. It becomes something you naturally radiate, effortlessly and continuously. The mind is the quiet architect of everything you become. Before any action is taken, before any word is spoken, there is a thought. And when thoughts are left undisciplined, they begin to shape a reality filled with doubt, comparison, and inner conflict. But when a woman learns to observe and guide her thoughts with intention, she can begin to see the world in a new way. She steps into a level of control that transforms not only her inner world, but everything that surrounds her. Most people believe they are at the mercy of their thoughts. They assume that whatever appears in the mind must be true. But this is where suffering begins. A thought is not a fact, it is a suggestion. It can be accepted, questioned, or released. The moment you realize this, you begin to reclaim your power. Instead of reacting automatically, you start choosing consciously. A disciplined mind does not mean a perfect mind. It means a trained one. Thoughts will still arise, some positive, some negative, but the difference is that you no longer allow every thought to take root. You become selective. You nurture thoughts that bring clarity, growth, and peace, and you gently let go of those that create fear or self-doubt. This practice, repeated daily, begins to reshape your inner environment. When your thoughts become more intentional, your emotions follow. A mind that constantly entertains negativity will naturally produce anxiety, tension, and insecurity. But a mind that is guided toward understanding, patience, and trust begins to create emotional balance. You respond instead of react. You pause instead of panic. This emotional steadiness becomes visible in your expressions, your tone, and your interactions. There is also a quiet confidence that develops when you master your thoughts. You no longer depend on external approval to feel worthy, because your sense of value comes from within. You are not easily shaken by opinions, because your mind is not constantly seeking validation. This independence is deeply attractive, not because it seeks attention, but because it does not need it. Discipline of the mind also strengthens your focus. In a world full of distractions, the ability to direct your attention becomes a rare and powerful skill. Instead of being pulled in different directions, you learn to stay present with what truly matters. Whether it is your personal growth, your relationships, or your purpose, your energy is no longer scattered. It is aligned. Another important aspect of mastering your thoughts is the language you use with yourself. The way you speak internally shapes your self-image. If your inner dialogue is harsh, critical, or filled with doubt, it slowly erodes your confidence. But when you replace that voice with one of understanding, you can see that the world is a more beautiful place. Encouragement and truth, you begin to build a stronger, more compassionate relationship with yourself. This inner kindness reflects outwardly, making your presence more warm and grounded. Of course, this level of awareness does not happen overnight. It requires consistent effort. It means catching yourself when your mind drifts into negativity and gently guiding it back. It means choosing clarity when confusion arises and choosing faith when fear tries to take hold. Over time, these small choices create a profound shift. When you discipline your thoughts, you are no longer controlled by circumstances. You become centered, intentional, and clear. And in that clarity, there is a unique kind of beauty, one that is not dependent on appearance, but rooted in strength, awareness, and inner harmony. Words may seem light and fleeting, but they carry a weight that shapes relationships, emotions, and even the direction of a life. Every sentence you speak is an extension of your inner world. It reflects your awareness, your discipline, and your character. A woman who understands this does not treat speech casually. She speaks with intention, knowing that her words can either build or break, heal or harm, clarify or confuse. Most people speak to react, to fill silence, or to prove a point. But intentional speech begins with awareness. Before speaking, there is a quiet pause, a moment where you ask yourself, is this necessary? Is it truthful? Is it kind? This simple reflection transforms communication. Instead of impulsive reactions, your words become thoughtful responses. When your speech is guided by intention, it naturally becomes more meaningful. You no longer feel the need to speak excessively, because you understand that value is not found in quantity, but in depth. A few sincere and well-chosen words can carry more impact than a long stream of careless ones. This restraint does not make you distant, it makes your presence more powerful. When you do speak, people listen not because you demand attention, but because your words carry clarity. Intentional speech also creates emotional safety for others. When people know that your words are not driven by anger, judgment, or ego, they feel more at ease around you. They feel heard, respected, and understood. This ability to create a safe space through your communication is a rare and beautiful quality. It builds trust without force and connection without effort. Another important aspect of speaking with intention is honesty. True beauty does not come from pleasing everyone or avoiding discomfort, it comes from aligning your words with truth. However, truth must be delivered with wisdom. There is a difference between being honest and being harsh. A thoughtful woman knows how to express truth in a way that uplifts rather than wounds. She does not use honesty as an excuse for cruelty, but as a tool for clarity and growth. Your tone, just as much as your words, carries energy. A calm and steady tone reflects inner balance, while a reactive tone often reveals inner unrest. When you master your tone, you begin to communicate not only with words, but with presence. Even difficult conversations become easier when they are approached with calmness and respect. This steadiness makes others more receptive and reduces unnecessary conflict. Listening is also a vital part of intentional speech. To truly speak with purpose, you must first learn to listen deeply, not just to reply, but to understand. When you listen fully, without interrupting or judging, you gain insight into others' experiences and emotions. This understanding allows your responses to be more thoughtful and relevant. It shows that you value the person, not just the conversation. There is also an inner transformation that occurs when you become mindful of your words. You begin to notice how often unnecessary speech creates confusion or tension. Gradually, you become more selective, more precise, and more aligned. Your words start to reflect your values, and your communication becomes an extension of your character. Of course, this requires discipline. It means resisting the urge to react instantly, especially in moments of emotion. It means choosing silence when words would only add negativity. It means speaking up when it matters, even if it feels uncomfortable, but doing so with clarity and respect. When your words are intentional, they carry a quiet strength. They do not seek to dominate, but they leave a lasting impression. They uplift without exaggeration, guide without force, and express without confusion. And in this way, your speech becomes more than communication, it becomes a reflection of inner harmony, a subtle yet powerful form of beauty that others feel long after the conversation ends. Kindness, when practiced quietly and sincerely, becomes one of the most powerful expressions of true beauty. It is not something that demands recognition, nor does it seek validation. It flows naturally from a heart that is grounded, aware, and at peace with itself. A woman who embodies this kind of kindness does not perform it for the world to see, she lives it, even when no one is watching. In a world where many actions are driven by the desire to be noticed or appreciated, quiet kindness stands apart. It is subtle, yet deeply impactful. It is found in small gestures, a gentle tone, a patient response, a moment of understanding when someone else is struggling. These acts may seem insignificant, but they carry a profound energy. They leave impressions that last far longer than grand displays meant for attention. True kindness begins with how you see others. When you look beyond appearances, beyond mistakes, and beyond differences, you begin to recognize the shared human experience in everyone. This awareness softens your approach. Instead of reacting with judgment, you respond with understanding. Instead of rushing to criticize, you choose to pause and consider what someone else might be going through. This shift in perspective transforms not only your behavior, but the atmosphere around you. A kind woman does not measure her actions based on what she will receive in return. She gives without expectation. This does not mean she allows herself to be taken for granted, but rather that her kindness is not transactional. It comes from a place of inner abundance, not from a need for approval. Because of this, her actions feel genuine. People can sense when kindness is real, and they naturally feel drawn to it. There is also strength within kindness that is often misunderstood. Many people associate kindness with weakness, believing that being gentle means being easily controlled or overlooked. But true kindness requires discipline and self-awareness. It takes strength to remain calm when faced with negativity. It takes control to respond with grace instead of reacting with anger. This quiet strength is what makes kindness so powerful. It is not forced, yet it stands firm. Practicing kindness also transforms your own inner world. When your actions are rooted in compassion, your mind becomes lighter. You carry less resentment, less frustration, and less emotional burden. This inner lightness reflects outwardly. Your expressions soften, your energy becomes more inviting, and your presence becomes comforting to others. It is a beauty that cannot be replicated through appearance, because it comes from the way you make people feel. Another important aspect of kindness is consistency. It is easy to be kind when circumstances are pleasant, or when others are kind to you. But true character is revealed in difficult moments when you are tired, stressed, or misunderstood. A woman who continues to act with kindness even in these moments shows a depth of character that goes beyond surface-level behavior. Her actions are not dependent on mood or situation, they are guided by principle. Kindness also includes how you treat yourself. You cannot consistently offer compassion to others if you are constantly harsh with yourself. Being patient with your own growth, forgiving your own mistakes, and speaking to yourself with understanding creates a balance. This inner kindness strengthens your ability to extend the same grace outwardly. Of course, quiet kindness does not mean silence in the face of wrongdoing. It does not mean ignoring boundaries or accepting disrespect. It means choosing your actions wisely, responding with clarity, but without unnecessary harshness. It is a balance between gentleness and strength, softness and self-respect. When kindness becomes a natural part of who you are, it changes the way people experience you. Your presence feels safe, your words feel sincere, and your actions feel genuine. You do not need to announce your worth, because it is reflected in the way you treat others. And in that quiet, consistent, and sincere expression of kindness, a deeper kind of beauty emerges, one that touches hearts, builds connections, and remains long after appearances fade. Growth is not a single moment of change, it is a continuous process of becoming. A woman who commits herself to growth understands that she is never finished, never complete, and never limited to who she was yesterday. This awareness keeps her evolving, refining, and strengthening, not out of pressure, but Hebrew mem, Hebrew tav, Hebrew vav, Hebrew kav purpose. She does not chase perfection, she pursues progress. Consistency is what transforms growth from an idea into a reality. Many people feel inspired for a short time, but only a few remain dedicated when that inspiration fades. True beauty is shaped in those quiet moments when no one is watching, when you choose discipline over comfort, learning over stagnation, and effort over excuses. It is in these repeated choices that your character is built. A woman who is committed to growth develops a deep sense of self-responsibility. Instead of blaming circumstances or others, she reflects inward. She asks herself what she can learn, how she can improve, and where she can adjust. This mindset shifts her from being a passive participant in life to an active creator of her path. She does not wait for change, she becomes the source of it. This journey requires honesty. Growth cannot happen without acknowledging areas that need improvement. It takes courage to face your own limitations, habits, and patterns that no longer serve you. But instead of seeing these as flaws, she views them as opportunities. Each weakness becomes a direction for growth, and each mistake becomes a lesson that sharpens her awareness. Over time, this consistent effort builds confidence, but not the kind that depends on external praise. It is a quiet, grounded confidence that comes from knowing you are capable of learning, adapting, and rising again. This confidence is stable because it is rooted in experience, not opinion. It does not need validation because it is built on inner proof. Growth also brings a sense of grace. When you are actively evolving, you become less judgmental both toward yourself and others. You understand that everyone is on their own journey, facing their own challenges. This understanding softens your perspective and allows you to respond with patience instead of criticism. Your presence becomes more accepting, more open, and more genuine. Another important aspect of consistent growth is discipline in daily habits. Small actions, repeated over time, create significant change. Whether it is dedicating time to learning, improving your mindset, taking care of your health, or reflecting on your day, these habits shape who you become. They may seem simple, but their impact is profound. A woman who honors her daily commitments builds a life of structure, clarity, and strength. There will be moments when growth feels slow, when progress is not immediately visible, and when doubt begins to surface. In these moments, consistency becomes even more important. Instead of giving up, she continues. Instead of seeking quick results, she trusts the process. This patience allows her to develop resilience, a strength that carries her through challenges without losing direction. It is also important to understand that growth is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more aligned with who you truly are. As you grow, you shed what is unnecessary limiting beliefs, unhealthy habits, and external pressures, and move closer to your authentic self. This alignment creates a natural sense of ease and confidence. When a woman is committed to her growth, it shows in everything she does, in the way she speaks, the way she carries herself, and the way she handles life's challenges. Her presence reflects effort, awareness, and intention. It is not forced or exaggerated, it is earned through consistency. And in that steady, intentional journey of becoming, a lasting kind of beauty takes form. It is not dependent on time or circumstance, because it is rooted in growth, a process that continues to deepen, refine, and elevate her with every step forward. There is a quiet power in simplicity that the world often overlooks. In a time where excess is celebrated and complexity is mistaken for value, choosing simplicity becomes an act of clarity and strength. A woman who embraces simplicity does not feel the need to overwhelm her life with unnecessary noise, possessions, or expectations. Instead, she refines, she selects, and she lets go of what does not serve her true self. Simplicity begins within the mind. When thoughts are cluttered with comparison, worry, and constant desire for more, life begins to feel heavy. But when you learn to simplify your thinking, focusing only on what truly matters, you create space for peace. You stop overanalyzing every situation, stop seeking perfection in everything, and start approaching life with a clearer, calmer perspective. This mental clarity reflects in your actions, making your decisions more intentional and your presence more grounded. In the way she presents herself, simplicity carries an effortless elegance. It is not about lacking style or expression, but about being intentional rather than excessive. She does not feel the need to follow every trend or compete for attention. Instead, she chooses what aligns with her, what feels authentic, and what reflects her inner state. This authenticity creates a natural confidence, because she is not trying to be someone else, she is simply being herself. There is also simplicity in how she approaches life. She understands that not everything requires reaction, involvement, or emotional investment. She chooses her priorities wisely, giving her energy only to what truly matters: her growth, her values, and the people who bring meaning into her life. By doing this, she avoids unnecessary stress and preserves her inner balance. Her life may not be loud or dramatic, but it is steady, clear, and fulfilling. Humility naturally grows from simplicity. When you no longer feel the need to prove yourself, you become more at ease with who you are. A humble woman does not diminish herself, but she also does not inflate her importance. She moves with quiet confidence, allowing her actions to speak instead of constantly seeking recognition. This humility makes her approachable, genuine, and deeply respected. Simplicity also shapes the way she communicates. Her words are clear, direct, and sincere. She does not complicate conversations with unnecessary explanations or hidden intentions. This clarity makes her easy to understand and trust. People feel comfortable around her because there is no confusion, no pretense, only honesty and ease. Another important aspect of simplicity is the ability to let go. Many people hold on to things, past experiences, grudges, expectations that weigh them down. But a woman who values simplicity understands that holding on unnecessarily creates inner clutter. She learns to release what no longer serves her, whether it is a thought, a habit, or a situation. This ability to let go creates emotional freedom and lightness. Living simply does not mean living without ambition or desire. It means aligning your ambitions with your values and your desires with your purpose. It means removing what is unnecessary so that what is essential can flourish. This alignment creates a sense of direction and calm, allowing you to move forward without feeling overwhelmed. Of course, choosing simplicity requires awareness and discipline. It means resisting the pressure to conform to a world that often values excess. It means making conscious choices about how you spend your time, energy, and attention. But over time, this way of living becomes natural. It becomes a source of strength rather than limitation. When simplicity becomes part of who you are, your presence feels different. It is not loud, yet it is noticed. It is not complicated, yet it is deeply meaningful. There is a quiet elegance in the way you carry yourself, a calm assurance that does not need validation. And in that simplicity, a refined kind of beauty emerges, one that is not created by adding more, but by understanding what truly matters and allowing that to shine without distraction.